a share. The Most High, the Divine Source, Ra Allah, would that we be prepared, suited and booted, if you will, at the ready, ready for action. I continue. No need to fear. The absolute novice is right here. To convey with the broadest of strokes a parallel narrative within the realm of how video games are introduced into the global market. Mind you, $186 billion industry and growing. This will not involve the psychoanalysis of video game end users, nor the viability and profits gained with their use of mascots and logos from their earlier games under Mario to Sonic to Pikachu. I continue. The similarities begin with its use of the protagonist and the antagonist within their main character storylines. In addition, another similarity includes competition. Competition more often than not alluded to even among ourselves within our very ranks, which is very real and can be quite fierce or disconcerting at best. I continue. The Most High would have his people, the light workers, for example, the warriors, the ancillary support, staff, team, equipped to counterattack any fallouts or potential towers within our very own borders and expanding territories. I continue. Next, it was Christmas Eve, and I wrote down what I believe was an oracle. I heard it or I read it, but these are the words. Let chaos restore balance, the portal to the fourth density and beyond. Next, a song. Still Christmas Eve, but I'm already in the bed. It's 11:41 p.m. and I hear the words to this song. But just before I give you the words, it's exactly the same melody of the song I gave in the video I named Power. Power, power, Lord, power, power, Lord, need more power. Remember that? But these are the words that I heard on Christmas Eve. Charlie, Charlie boy, Charlie, Charlie boy, cheat code 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 Charlie, Charlie boy, Charlie, Charlie boy. I know. But I got up quickly and I wrote the words down. But here's the interesting thing about the words to that song. Those that don't know, my name is Charles. But from my preteens up until right now, me speaking into this microphone, hopefully it's coming across clear, I don't care much for Charlie. I think it's a beautiful name for a girl, but I don't care much for Charlie. Let me tell you why. Growing up, used to grab the Sunday paper, try to get it before the parents got it because they take issue with us rumbling through the paper, but reach in, get the comics out. And as we peruse the comics, I come across what was called, I think, the Peanuts. Anybody remember Charlie Brown, Lucy, Linus, Schroeder? I continue. Even then, not understanding sensitivity to, for example, aura, the ability to read people, not knowing maybe that was a part of me then. And this was just print, just reading about him. But it was something about Charlie Brown that was off-putting. Maybe his nervousness, his anxiety, how pessimistic he was. And my goodness, if he said good grief one more time, anybody with me, or did I lose anybody? But it was something about him that was off-putting. And for me, I had to look Look up Lucy. That girl, woo, crabby, bossy, so opinionated. That's a bully indeed. But maybe that's why the song was presented that way for me to do that. To compare Charlie to Charlie Brown. But I continue. There was another reason why I took issue with certain names. Here's another one from way back when. Sidebar. There was the infamous Charles Manson. His name was so close to my birth name. So close. And I didn't care for that too much. So I guess I took issue with anything outside of Charles or Papoose. Now, Papoose was the nickname. I was okay with that after a period of time, but I preferred Paps. But I continue. Sidebar. So, I continue. Test Play. That was the working title to this video. Actually, it's an incorrect word, actually, having to do with computers. It's actually play test. And I knew that when I wrote it down. But for me, test play flowed better instead of play test. But I will come back to play test momentarily. Here to inspire, to educate, and for observational purposes only, esoteric in nature, this video I am tagging for general audiences. I continue. But first, PSA, for those that don't know, public service announcement. These are the words I wrote next as I was writing all of these notes down. Your perceived reality of me becomes the outward reality of you. ... And then I wrote, love and or silence is the key here. Selah. To note, audacious, I know, but it's true. I continue. Let's begin. Cheat code. Dictionary.com says a ploy, a technique that bypasses traditional methods or rules in order to improve one's self or one's success. Cheat code. The song I just sang, Charlie Boy, Cheat Code Charlie. I continue. Cheat code. In relation to gaming systems, they are play tested for errors. Within is a hidden command code, etc., that a video gamer unlocks and that video gamer uses to gain an advantage within said game, such as by advancing levels or enhancing a character's strength. Again, dictionary.com. To note, I wrote, to go beyond, you must know your strengths and overall capabilities to continue forward. I move ahead. This is where the words took me next. To be forewarned is to be forearmed. I believe the Most High has agents. Some call them earth angels and the like, but that the Most High has agents all around the world. Now, will we begrudge them? Will we compete with them? Will we ostracize them? Will we discredit them? I wrote. Or can we? Can we become like the young lad I wrote, Samuel? Samuel, who is to become the future prophet and seer who is being tutelaged by the judge and prophet Eli at Shiloh in biblical history. There was a time when Eli, he's asleep. He hears his name being called. He goes to Eli. In so many words, I'm paraphrasing here. Yes. And Eli says, I didn't call you. Go back to bed. He goes back to bed, and at some point, he comes back to Eli again. And Eli says, I did not call you. Go back to sleep. So he goes in there, and he comes back for the third time. And at this point, even Eli, he says, I did not call you. But the next time you hear your name called, say these words, Speak, Lord, thy servant heareth. Next I write, that choice is always yours. When you get that nudge, when you hear that voice, I wrote, harden not your heart. To note, we who belong to the Most High have been admonished to bestow the whole armor of God upon us, and what you know to be the infallible truth. And then I wrote the words, your cheat code. I continue. While I was there, I came across a passage of scripture found in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6. And I paraphrased again with time in mind. But here goes. I listed them as bullet points. But again, cheat codes. Here we go. We're admonished to be strong in the Lord and in the power of his might. His might, the Most High. Ra, Allah, Source, the Divine, and more. I continue. We're admonished to dress in the armor of God that we may stand against the devious and cunning schemes of the devil and darkness. I continue. This conflict that we have with that person, I wrote, but it's actually against rulers. It's against authorities. It's against wicked spiritual beings, fallen angels, and demons. I continue. This armor, it's required to withstand the evil day. And we must stand, therefore, in resolve and perseverance. The elements of this armor that I'm talking about: girded in truth, covered in the armament of morality, I wrote, of right standing, I wrote, of principled conduct, I wrote. I continue. Having our steps in a path ordered by the Most High indeed, resulting in peace, utilizing daily intuition, daily discernment, daily discretion. These are key. Again, cheat codes, everybody. I continue. Suited and booted indeed, I wrote in my off to the side in the margin. Next I write faith. Faith as the shield of utmost requirement to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked one. I can see being inside a video game and those darts coming one's way, and you're prepared because you've got your cheat codes in check. Moving on. To hold dear what you know to be true, the sword of the Spirit, the word of the Most High. But here's key for me. I wrote Rhema word as a daily required select passage or portion of scripture. And what I mean by that, sometimes you find yourself somewhere at a given time, and maybe you need a little lift, and I believe the Spirit of the Lord every now and then will send a song. He'll send a passage of scripture. Anybody ever hear when they're by themselves, just hear a melody all of a sudden? Nothing specific, nothing you've ever heard before. I can remember, sidebar, I can remember waiting on the metro train a few times and just standing there, and all of a sudden I'm humming a tune from out of nowhere. Anybody know what I'm talking about? For me, that's Rhema. It's at a moment's notice, just what you need when you need it. I continue. Finally, to be consistent in prayer and supplication with perseverance, and not just for yourself. Have someone else, some situation in mind. Every now and then, I remember Israel and Hamas, Russia and Ukraine, the refugees along the border. Anybody with me? Because the Most High knows each of his by name. I continue. Next, this is what I wrote. One guarantee in this continuum of life is change. That's what I wrote down. Often precipitated by the decisions we make, or the tests and challenges divinely orchestrated by the Most High to restore balance, to restore perception, to restore targeted focus for such a time as this. And then at this point, everything that I'm writing down as it's coming to me, it takes a detour and it goes this way. Keep in mind, guys, cheat code. This is what comes next. Released in June the 3rd, 1988, a comedy and dramatic film called Big, B-I-G, Big. The main character or star for that film was Tom Hanks. And it goes like this. As a 13-year-old boy, Josh, now there was a stand-in actor until the age was right for Tom to physically step into the film. So they had a preteen actor do this role until Tom's time to step into the film. As a 13-year-old boy, Josh, he wanted to impress a girl on a carnival ride, but they wouldn't let him ride because he was too short. Now, fully disappointed, he now inserts a coin into an antique fortune teller machine, the Zoltar, I wrote. He makes a wish to be big. It now dispenses a card stating, "Your wish is granted." To note, for those that haven't seen the film, the machine was unplugged the whole time, and yet it inserted a card that said, "Your wish has been granted." I continue. He now awakens the next morning, and he is Tom Hanks playing the role of Josh. The Zoltar machine can actually make wishes come true, as he did grow physically to an adult, and he tries now to locate that machine, but sees the carnival has moved on. I would imagine he wanted to reverse his decision because he now has an adult body, but on the inside he's still that 13-year-old Josh. I continue. Now in a pickle, I wrote, full of predicament, the storyline continues to deepen, but I'll stop here. Now, just that. It's funny how everything I was being given at that particular time began to go another course and to come here. But on the inside, I'm seeing a number of things that can be brought out. This just that right there is just loaded with stuff. But I'll just pinpoint this one thing for the sake of time. This is a cheat code, you guys. I'm going forward. To note, experimentation with or within disciplines, crafts, and modalities threaten with consequences to the novice. Experimentation with or within disciplines, crafts, and modalities threaten consequences to the naive. Did I lose anybody? A couple of things I want to point out. He wanted to impress a girl. Anybody ever done that? Flip the roles, flip the roles, flip the roles. Wanted to impress. Next. Let me see. Wanted to impress a girl. There's something else I saw in here. Like I said, it's loaded. And in the state that he was in, he was already despondent, disappointed. Cheat code, cheat code, cheat code. Where are you emotionally? Where are you psychologically when you head into areas of unknown? Oh, it's so much in here, but I'm going to move on. Cheat code, moving on. Next. The play test that I earlier talked about. Like I said, my working title was going to be test play, but I changed it to the Muse. Here goes. A play test is the process by which a game designer tests a new game or device for bugs and design flaws before releasing it into the market. As I'm saying the words to the hearer, I'm seeing the Most High, the Most High, the Most High, the Most High, our Creator. Anybody with me? Checking us out for all that doesn't belong within or without before he sends. I'm moving on. This is probably too much for some of you. I'm gonna move ahead. Listen, next, play tests. Play tests are also used to help ensure that a product will be commercially viable upon its release. Anybody with me? Or did I lose anybody? I'm moving right along. To note, I wrote notable and various scriptures that allude to competition, as in chess. Anyone? In our walk as light workers, as warriors, there's competition all around. And some of the scriptures that I wrote down allude to areas of competition, and that's why I wrote them down. The first one I wrote, I returned and saw under the sun that the race is not given to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, neither yet bread to the wise, nor yet riches to men of understanding, nor yet favor to men of skill, but time and chance happeneth to them all. Literally 911, because it's found Ecclesiastes chapter 9, verse 11. I continue. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run, the scripture says, that ye may obtain. That's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 9. I continue. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we do it for an incorruptible. And then I wrote, our Georgia indeed. And the reason why I wrote Georgia, I had a video called Welcome Back, and I talk about Georgia being a place for what happens hereafter. I continue. And Elijah came unto all the people and said, how long halt ye between two opinions? If the Lord be God, follow him. But if Baal, then follow him. And the people answered him not a word. And then he goes on to say, and call ye upon the name of your God, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God that answereth by fire, let him be God. And all the people answered and said, it is well spoken. 1 Kings chapter 18. Off to the side in the margin I wrote, look, what you know to be true. What you know to be true. I'm reminded a couple of videos back where I talked about that we are the shields that guard the realms of man. And that's what came to mind when I think about what you know to be true. What you know to be true, you stand on that thing. Listen, I remember a day where I talked about this in one video where I got out of a shower. It was a summer evening and I was winding down. I put my jammies on, my version of jammies, and I was calling it a night. I was going to grab a snack and maybe find something on the telly, and that's it. And then all of a sudden I heard these words, go outside. So I stood there, I stopped, and I'm like, is someone I already been in the shower? Those that know me will understand, because I will convey what I'm thinking at the time, with all due respect. But I'm just can I just be myself, everybody? Listen. So I'm standing there and I'm working with that thing. Go outside. I just got out of the shower. Why? And it's 11. This is my bedtime. Anybody with me? So, but it wouldn't get off of me. So I took my jammies off and I put on some clothes and I went outside. I went outside and I stood at the end of the gangway that leads to the backyard. And I started looking and listening. And within minutes, I decided to shift to the main entranceway of the building where I was living at the time. So I stood there. And all of a sudden, it started to rain. Anybody hear that song? Go outside in the rain. But anyway, I digress. So I'm standing there and now the rain is falling on me. And I was like, I'm outside. It's a summer evening. I've already showered. What am I outside for? So I began to listen to the sounds and looking up and down the block. And I noticed that my gaze was hovering toward the right near an intersection. So I stood and I just watched the traffic going. Technically, the traffic was going east and west at the time. Am I saying that right? Yes, east and west at the time. So I was like, okay. So after a bit of the time, and I'm sure on the inside, because I'm, to be honest, what words I was saying on the inside, I'm unable to remember at this time, but I'm sure I'm quietly communicating with the Most High. Understand? So after a little bit of time, I finally decided, okay, I went in and basically the night was forgotten. The next day, literally, I'm on my knees and I'm about to get into bed. So I hear someone holler and or shots or something like that. Let me see. I want to get the story right. Let me see. I think that night I only heard someone holler. So it must have been Sunday night that the shooting took place. I'm sorry, guys. I'm letting time fly by. But whenever the shots went off and whatever day it was, come Monday is when I got the news that whatever gunfire took place over that weekend, some of those shots came into the building that I was living in, right along the path where I was standing. I'm feeling chills as I'm saying this. So imagine with me for a moment. I'm not the young lad Samuel under the tutelage of Eli. I'm old enough to understand. And when I hear that voice, I have to regard that voice. What if I had not gone out? So I'm running ahead. But the bottom line is, when I got the news, the shots came into the lower apartment, came into the window, and those that were there, they told one another, I think, to hit the ground. So nobody was hit, but the windows needed to be replaced from the damage due to the bullets. Now, what if I had not gone outside under the direction of the voice that I heard, is what I'm getting at. What you know to be true, what I'm saying today is walk in that truth. We have no reason. I'm going to say me. I know ain't the right word, but can I just be me? No reason to prove anything to anyone. I know what I know, and I walk in what I know to walk in. When I needed a job, hadn't even gotten on my knees to ask for it or say it into the air, I need a job. Was told the job was ending on that Friday, but I was awakened on Saturday morning. Said, put these slacks on, that's the voice I heard. Put this shirt on, that's the voice I heard. Put this tie on, that's the voice I heard. And go to this place and apply for a job. That's what I heard. I went to the job. I know I'm talking a lot. Went to the job. Walked in the door. Excuse me, sir. My name is Charles. I'm here to apply for a position with your company. And he said, I'm sorry. We did all the hiring we're going to do. And I was like, oh, okay. He said, but you know what? He said, but the district manager is still in town. And I think he's over at their sister store. So I said, okay. So I go back to my car and I sit in the car and I sit back in the seat. And I'm just being me, y'all. I'm telling y'all how I communicate. So I was like, nah, the only reason, this is me communicating with heaven. The only reason why I'm out here on a Saturday is because you told me to come out here. And I sat back in the seat. And this is what I said additionally. I was like, nah, I'm going to go. I'm going to go to that place over there and see. So I locked the car up and I walked over to the place right across the street. And I walked in the door. And there was a man walking across the floor carrying a box. Back in the day, I would say it's probably like a TV box or something like that. So he walked across the store. I said, excuse me, sir, excuse me. I was like, my name is Charles, and I'm here to apply for a position with your company. And he looked at me, just stared at me. And he said, what can you do? And in that instant, I gave him a verbal resume of the things I had done up until that point. And he looked at me again. And he said, be here Monday morning at 9 o'clock. And that place was Radio Shack. The Spirit of God told me to go and apply at that place. And I began that job that Monday morning at 9 a.m. as a management trainee. What you know to be true, that's what you walk in. What are we debating with people for? There's no reason for that. What is the competition for, especially among the warriors, among the light work? What do we know? No. Do you want to miss it or do you want to gain it? I'm moving on. The last one I read. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? Help yourself, girl. Help yourself, okay? That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil. Escheweth. Interesting word, right? Deliberately avoid evil, to abstain from it. I'm closing with a song. This is what I heard on the 29th of December, and I wrote it down. I'm culling. I use words like I'm culling, I'm mining, I'm gleaning and extracting. But I culled these words from the end of this song, and it goes like this. He said, weeping may, and they say, weeping may endure for a night. Keep the faith, it'll be all right. He says again, weeping may endure for a night. Keep the faith, it'll be all right. Right. Then they say, trouble don't last always. So we have an opportunity. That's Timothy Wright. Trouble don't last always. I've talked enough. That's enough for today. This has been Charles. We are Hype Central. 2025 holds much for us all in every way. We have a part to play also within the precious commodity of time. So be blessed, everyone, and thank you for your time.